The most disturbing internet rabbit hole I've ever been down. It made me want to rip my eyes out. I think I vomited 5 times while going down an internet rabbit hole the other day. Ever see something so disturbing the only way you can feel even slightly better is by sharing that shit with someone else? Well, that's what I'm doing. Or bleach your eyes. Whichever is easier, to be honest. But I'm mortified by the strings of different things I've found connected to the serial killer called the human sex doll maker. And I think I'm really wishing those memory wipes for Men in Black were real. I know you are probably wondering where my fascination with such a sick topic even begins. Would you believe it started just by Googling local sex toy stores? Fuck my life. And fuck Reagan Searle and his awful life. File 1, Patient Private Record of Reagan Searle from Esther Springs Psychiatric Ward. Declassified as of July 2021. The victim was found with her fingers crudely cut off, as if a dog had bitten down hard on the knuckles and twisted. It didn't take long to figure out what had happened. We saw the fingers dangling from the man's mouth right after the orderly managed to inject a sedative. Normally the drugs could take down 4 grown men that were twice the size of this guy, but some unnatural strength kept him going as 6 large nurses held him down. Even after the drugs took effect, the bloody fingers still remained in his mouth defiantly. According to the psychiatric records, the man was accused of killing 15 women all across North America. Whoever thought it was a good idea to give him a roommate is fired, the chief of staff grumbled. I was told in less than an hour I would get to interview this man, this killer, so I asked to review his patient file and figure out what type of twisted mind I was dealing with. Mr. Searle is a 38-year-old Caucasian male with necrophiliac obsession and other abnormal sexual behavior relating to non-human objects, as observed by staff for the past 36 days in the Kingsport Correctional. He was transferred for psychiatric re-evaluation due to circumstantial evidence surrounding a warehouse fire outside of Evergrove. The warehouse in question was connected to a local business for adult entertainment where Mr. Searle worked for the past few years without incident. When asked what prompted his sudden behavioral change, one interview documented the following claim. I need to resurrect her smile, her eyes, her body. Then I can be free of this world. It is unclear whom Mr. Searle was referring to, but one reporter has made a theory about a housewife that went missing in the nearby town of White Valley. I stopped reading there to get a cup of coffee and I asked if Mr. Searle was ready for his next interrogation. The psych center told me that he refused until he was sure that the fingers he had bitten off were kept on ice. When informed that he had accidentally swallowed one of the fingers during the struggle, Mr. Searle gagged himself as hard as he could to force it back up his windpipe. Who are the fingers meant for, Reagan? I asked him. But he would only laugh. Laugh and then cry when he said her name. His wife, Dolores. His one true love. The one that got away. File 2, Investigative Report of Warehouse Fire. Declassified as of June 2020. Fire department called the redacted PD for backup and reported a suspicious smell emitting from a burnt warehouse known for adult pleasure. I, Detective Phillips, brought officers Kennedy and Smith to accompany me to the scene. Upon arrival, I noticed the smell of burning flesh first, and horror filled my gut as I considered trapped workers. The fire had been extinguished and Chief Davidson was in a yelling match with Reagan Searle, the warehouse's superintendent, in order to get the basement keys. Reagan began to plead with us. I must be the first person she sees. I've done too much to lose her again, he cried in desperation. I found that statement strange, and alarm bells started going off in my head. We were unable to persuade him to give up the keys, but by promising that he could enter first and explaining we would be nearby in case she needed medical care, he allowed us to enter. Officer Kennedy was unable to make it past the doorway due to the smell, and once Officer Smith saw the contents of the basement, he left to quickly vomit. I quickly subdued Mr. Searle and placed him into the back of my cruiser before taking photographs of the scene. Below is an inventory of items found in the basement. Various body parts preserved and stitched together. The heat from the fire seems to have melded the pieces together. Several occult books, including a copy of the Necronomicon, a document to file for a divorce dated March 12, 2018 only half filled out by Dolores Searle, and several pictures of Dolores Searle. Most of the pictures of Mr. Searle's dead wife were of her alive, but a collection of the photos seem to have been taken after her disappearance. Particularly pictures of her hands, feet, and other places not normally caught in pictures. We put the pictures together and found the body buried under a strawberry bush that had been planted at the family cabin. See attached file. There were many deformities revealed with the photos, such as carvings on her genitals and breasts that appear to have been made after she had expired, and fingers that were bent all the way around, flesh that seemed to be peeling, but no sign of blood on the victim in the photos. File 3, Police Report of Missing Person, Dolores Searle, age 34. Declassified as of May 2018. Dolores Searle is the beloved wife of Reagan Searle, who was reported missing on May 6, 2018. Reagan made the report 24 hours after he first noticed his wife's appearance, as he was under the impression that one had to wait 24 hours before one could file a report. A public announcement should be made informing people that the wait period is untrue. Dolores was with her husband, Reagan, enjoying a romantic holiday. Reagan reports that Dolores seemed to have been acting strangely in recent months and expresses concern that she may have developed an addiction. A search part was organized and continued for a full week before shutting down. No body was found, and officers suspect that Mrs. Searle had been abducted. Signs of a struggle were seen near the dirt road. Missing posters will be placed in hopes she is found, alive or dead. Files 4 to 8, USB drive containing approximately 4 video files. One of the most damning pieces of evidence against Reagan Searle was the video clips he took of himself while trying to reconstruct his late wife. The first video I watched turned out to be a victim named Jennifer Stills, who had been reported missing just 2 days before the video was taken. She was held to the table with ratchet straps, clamped down to the point her arms and legs were losing blood flow. Reagan had set up the video, he said in a later interview, to capture the beauty of the moment, but beauty was not the word I would describe what I saw. Hell would be more like it. When you handed me my coffee at the shop, Reagan had said on the video as he busied himself with getting tools together, I could not help but notice how much your nails reminded me of my own sweet Dolores. The restrained form of Jennifer struggled futilely against her bonds as Reagan spoke to her. She always had such strong, beautiful nails, he said, turning toward Jennifer, a pair of pliers in his hands. Jennifer began to thrash on the table, trying vainly to escape, but it was to no avail. I wish I could do this without causing you pain, Reagan said softly, stroking Jennifer's hair. But I need to make sure I have your essence. Your spark of life. My sweet Dolores was so full of fire and vim, it would never do to try and rebuild her from dead, broken flesh. And with that being said, I watched as Reagan Searle took the pliers and forcefully ripped a nail from Jennifer's finger, then lovingly placed it in a waiting bowl. Jennifer's screams and cries were barely muffled by the twisted bandana Reagan had tied around her mouth. There, he said, smiling at her sobbing form lying on the table. Only 9 more to go. As I reached for the computer to stop the video, I could not drown out her screams of terror and pain. What is worse, is that all that the police were ever able to find of Jennifer Stills was 10 fingernails that had been glued to the nail beds of a semi-rotting corpse that Reagan had sewn together. The second video showed Reagan removing the scalp and eyes of a woman named Kathy Clifford. Through the screams you could hear Reagan state, "How lucky am I that you have her hair and eyes. It was almost as if heaven sent you to me." But heaven had nothing to do with it. After removing what he needed, Reagan simply choked the life out of the screaming woman, and then, while humming a wedding march, he took out a saw and cleaver and cut her to pieces. Again, nothing more was found of the victim than what was attached to Reagan's creation. Video 3 was almost the worst. I kind of knew what Reagan was doing. He was rebuilding his dead wife. As horrible as that is, I had no idea the depravity a human could stoop to. As sick as it is, it almost makes sense. He was building a human body. He needed the parts. The fact he took them from living women was horrible, but in video 3, I ran from the room and vomited. The victim Reagan had chosen was a young woman named Alicia Smagic. She could not have been more than 16. The parts Reagan took from Alicia. It was the worst. Reagan chose Alicia to be the insides of his creation. The heart, the liver, the kidneys and intestines, and he removed them from her alive, thrashing body as she screamed in untold agony. Even Reagan seemed to be distressed by what he was doing. He kept yelling over her screams, "It is for the best. My love will bring you back, and we will be happy forever." But the screams continued until they died out in a bubbling, gasping sound as Reagan removed her internal organs. And yet once again, no other trace has been found of Alicia Smagic except what was placed into the body Reagan was creating. I had said that video 3 was the most unsettling, the most horrible thing I have ever seen. You may ask, what could be worse than watching an innocent girl be cut open and ripped apart while she was alive and screaming? Video 4, which was still recording after Reagan had been captured, is the one vision I will never be able to escape, never be able to unsee, in this life or my next. This is the unholy pinnacle of Reagan Searle's insane attempt at creating life and trying to replace his dead wife. It's a sight God himself would turn away from. Final file, record of Searle's storage unit with video footage connecting to previous hard drive. It starts with a trail of blood and viscera mar the white tile floor, leading all the way to a table in the center of the room which felt infected with terror. It was clear by the expression on Reagan's face, along with his body movements, that his mental state had rapidly declined at this point. The other videos seemed more clinical almost. But not this one. No, this one was personal to Reagan. Now was the time for his moment to resurrect his long-lost love from the body parts on that table. Oh yes, the table. I suppose you'll want to know what it looked like, and as much as I'd love to leave it to your imagination, I feel compelled to tell somebody. Anyone who will listen. Reagan strode victoriously over to the gleaming metal surgical table, the parts that weren't covered in remnants of slaughter anyway. That's when I saw her. Although at the time I hesitate to give it any human traits at all, let alone gender. What laid on that table was a pure abomination that the devil himself wouldn't take credit for. Thick cords of black string attached one rotted feature to the next. The color of the meat held a tangible smell, one that nearly reached all the way to the other side of the screen to my end. My stomach rolled at the thought. Dark veins ran through mottled patches of red, purple and gray skin like sinister roadmaps to a world best not traveled. Rows of hair were stapled to a scalp that wasn't ever intended for the creature, resembling a row of thorns on a rotted Christ. Her pelvic region resembled a middle schooler's collage of what a young boy thought a woman's body should look like, with a river of green and yellow fluid seeping out from underneath. Her breasts were misshapen and non-symmetrical, the areolas leaking the black fluid of old blood and rot. But Reagan looked at her with wonder, like she held the beauty of one of God's angels. He ran over to the far wall and turned the main light off, revealing symbols of unknown origin circling the floor around her makeshift birthing bed. His lips began to flutter fervently with what sounded like chanting, though the words were strange to me. The symbolism was almost mind-blowing, and I wondered how far he would get in his frenzy before he realized it wouldn't work. Only, it did. The compiled corpse began to sizzle and twitch on top of the metal tabletop, as if raw kernels were popping fresh in a pan. Officers flooded the room just before he reached her side, seizing him to the floor immediately and obscuring her from view. The sound of laughter that rang out of his lungs is a sound I won't soon forget. I'm sure you caught that little tidbit earlier about how the tape still rolled after Reagan's detainment, and it did, albeit not for very long. Most people would have stopped the tape right then and there. It rolled long enough before any action occurred that an average person very well may have missed it entirely. The last final frames of the tape show his creation in all its glory. It rose shakily from the table, bracing itself before limping toward the camera on uncoordinated limbs. Its body fought tremendously to get muscles to work that had long been atrophied from death. Her entire body twitched and jerked forward, including each muscle on her patchworked face. With an aggressive swing of her arm, the camera was knocked to the floor. Her feet can be seen heading in the direction of the entrance just before the film cuts out. That's the end of my story, Reddit. I warned you. I really did. No, there's no moral here or rhyme or reason. Just something fucked up to scar your mind. Oh, one last thing. The prison claimed that Reagan himself disappeared shortly after all of this transpired, and they haven't a clue where he went, nor any ideas about the strange lifelike corpse bride that he made. I want to tell myself this was just a strange internet rabbit hole I went down, that what I read and saw wasn't real. So I deleted everything, to keep others from suffering through the nightmare. Only problem is, now it's starting to affect me in ways I didn't expect. I've begun to look at people, not as people, but as parts that can be disassembled the way a mechanic does a car. Rebuilt for a glorious new creation that is spreading within my mind. She calls me, I think. It's not Dolores. No, I think there is another darker force here. Something that compelled me to write this down and share it. To let others know the dawn of evolution for Death Undone is here. I dare not disobey, or let madness slip over me as it did Reagan. I'm afraid of myself now, afraid of what I saw that tells me what another human is capable of. And afraid of what I think we all might be capable of. It makes me feel the need to vomit one more time. But this time, I'm scared I might enjoy the suffering.